If you've noticed that one of your favorite TV shows has gone dark recently, here's why. These are the writers in the Writers Guild of America, a union that represents TV and film writers. They write some of the most popular TV shows and movies in the country, and as of Monday, they're also on strike. 98% of WGA's 11,500 members voted to put their pens down and picked up placards as contract negotiations with big-name studios and production companies broke down. The union is demanding a few things ranging from higher pay and more flexibility for writers to regulations on AI and its use in diminishing the role of human writers. As far as pay goes, writing is becoming an increasingly precarious job. Median real pay for writers has fallen 23% over the last decade. Half of all TV writers are being paid the basic minimum rate, as well as almost a quarter of showrunners.
I think that there's a little disrespect or discounting what writers do and what writers bring to the table. We're not easily replaced. Our ideas are valuable. The way we put words together are valuable. It's a craft, and it's not something that should be devalued, even if you think you can. And yes, they have enough money.
One of the reasons pay has fallen so much is because streaming services have shortened working periods from 20-plus episode TV seasons to much shorter streaming seasons. The Writers Guild warns that this trend is turning the industry into a gig economy, where writers can only find work as needed instead of the stability of long-term contracts.
So when you make a television show, there's a period of time where the writer's room meets and you come up with ideas and writers write different scripts. But as you move into production, those scripts inevitably change and scripts have to be stories have to be rebroken and scripts have to be rewritten. But they now are trying to make it so that the showrunner, who's both a writer and the boss of the show and is on an overall deal with the network, does all that work by themselves. It used to be on West Wing and shows like that, writers worked on 20 shows a year. Now it might just be a show could have 6 episodes a year. So instead of working for 10 months, you work for 10 weeks because they have the showrunner do all the work with an assistant. They don't want to have any overhead. The show that I was working on, when it moves into production, they don't want the writers to be a part of production anymore because they don't want to pay for us for the extra few months of production.
It's also increasingly clear that production companies want to replace at least some of their staff with artificial intelligence.
And this is happening in every industry, everywhere, is that there's an attempt to consolidate wealth and capital with, the top 1% of every industry, and the film industry is no different. And I think because there are so many people, I myself, I'm an aspiring writer, so many people who want this job, they think that they can cut their profit margins as much as possible by making as few people work as much and threatening them to not give them more work if they won't do unpaid rewrites, if they won't do the work of 5 people. And meanwhile, they're not giving opportunities to new writers like myself and like other people in this picket line to enter the industry.
The contract negotiations themselves show that the production companies refuse to agree to the regulation of AI's use in production, only offering annual meetings to, quote, discuss advancements in technology. In fact, if you look at the negotiation sheet, you can see how the production companies just want to fight the writers' union on every single proposal. The entertainment industry is saying that they just can't meet the, quote, magnitude of proposals the union is making. But is that true? WGA's proposals would cost a total of $429 million a year. Sounds like a lot, right? But consider the fact that the top 8 Hollywood CEOs made a collective $800 million in personal compensation last year. This doesn't even account for the hundreds of billions of dollars in revenue that the industry takes in every year. So if the industry is lying about not being able to pay their writers, it's obvious that they just don't want to pay them. But unless the CEOs are planning on heading down to the studios and writing late-night shows and comedy sketches themselves, right now, it seems like they have little choice.
What we're asking for is less than 2% of what the industry makes a year. It's a tiny amount. The head CEOs of the biggest companies can make $50 to $200 million a year. We're just trying to send our kids to college and have health benefits.